Welcome to Dear IJay. This is where we add value to your spirit, body, mind, and soul. Join us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, as well as TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Remember, no pretense, no judgment. This is how it works. People write about a problem. We share a summary of their writing and try to help them with suggestions. I am a trained psychologist, and in combination with human experience, I hope to be of help. Let's go there. So for this particular episode, let me open up. It says, Dear IJay, I don't want to say much. I just need your help. I have decided to be a single mother. I am a 40-year-old unmarried woman, and it is clear to me that I will not be able to get married anytime soon. But I desperately need to have at least a child or two. I would like to hear from you what I should anticipate as a single mother, because I have so many thoughts. I've heard so many things from other people, but your opinion on this matters a lot from an expert perspective. My name is Susanna, and I can't wait for this episode to come out because I am genuinely committed to being a single mother. Wow. First of all, Susanna, thanks for finding me worthy of giving you feedback. Now, I always tell people that psychology is about functionality and is not about morality. So for those of you watching and you're expecting me to condemn or judge, we don't do that here. No pretense, no judgment. I'll leave that to the religiously minded to do their bit. But in terms of psychology, there's something in my field that is now recognized. It's called SMBC, Single Motherhood By Choice. Reason is because it is now obvious that for some sociological shift, a lot of women are having to make that choice deliberately. It's not accidental. Nobody left them. They know from the beginning that they want to be mothers without necessarily being married. Some people even do it blindly to the point, especially in the Western world, they go to sperm banks and get pregnant anonymously. They mother a child. So it is called Single Motherhood By Choice, SMBC. Having said that, there are social expectations, emotional isolation can happen, and the weight of being the sole anchor are all real. But I want to say this to you. There are social expectations when you are in a marriage or in a relationship and you're a mother. You can also experience emotional isolation even as a married woman with children. You can also experience the weight of being the sole anchor even as a married woman. Why is that necessary that we establish that? Those experiences are not necessarily absent because you're a single mother. They become absent if the elements that can fulfill them are not in place. Likewise for a married woman. Say if you marry a man that is always traveling, and is not emotionally available, is not financially buoyant, and so on and so forth, you might still have yourself experiencing the same thing. But there are things that you should anticipate if you make that choice. The first challenge is what we call the justification fatigue. I repeat, justification fatigue. That means you should prepare yourself to get tired of explaining yourself. Society will judge you, especially in our culture. They will ask questions. So you should anticipate scrutiny, both from society, both from religion and religious perspective, so both cultural and religious. So you should anticipate it. You should learn to respond without being angry or defensive, but rather put on a hat of education. Why didn't you wait? What about the father figure? Isn't that selfish? You should be able to answer these questions by yourself. And then there's this psychological toll that it can take on you. You become defensive and almost resentful of people asking you those questions. I always ask tell people that there are societal questions that people will ask you. The sooner you accept that they are asking what others don't have the effrontery or courage to ask you, the better for you. Don't get angry that they're asking you those questions. Get happy that somebody is being expressive enough to ask you those questions. Just make sure you have a well-crafted script, something that you have made peace with as a good response. But don't get angry that you're being asked those questions. Anticipate that. Choose your audience. Choose what explanations to give to whom. You must not explain your dynamics to everybody in the same manner. You have to make peace with your responses. It is your life. It is a choice that you have made. The other one is to manage the emotional isolation and the mother blame. Because things that a child would do as a child, you might find yourself blaming yourself as to, are they doing this because I'm a single mother? So you have to make peace, again, reconcile with that decision you've made, which is a very difficult thing to do because their emotional isolation would definitely come to play. I always tell mothers who decide to, women who decide to be single mothers, to make sure that before they go forward with that decision, they have identified male role models, not just whether they have a male child or a female child. It doesn't matter. Children need both gender playing a role, a healthy role in their lives. So it could be a relative. Talk to the person ahead of time. Say, I'm making this decision. I'm 40. I don't want to wait for a husband. I'd like to have a child. If a husband happens later, whatever the discussion, have it with that person and say, please, my brother, my uncle, my friend, could you play this role? And playing that role is that the person will now make a conscious effort knowing that they are playing that role. It helps to take off some of that emotional isolation. So you need to build a village around yourself so you don't feel isolated. You also have to ask yourself about the child's identity and the father question. Your child would ask you, who is my father? And you should be prepared to answer that. That is one of the biggest burden about single motherhood. Sometimes young women will have that discussion with even a married man. Please, can you father my child? I won't give you people any problems. I will leave your family alone. Those are all lies. You know why I said those are all lies? Because you would never really know how you will feel until that child comes to bear. If that child puts pressure on the mother might now start being intrusive unknowingly. That's why you see some stars, they say they met their children when they were in their 20s because they'll keep asking, and eventually the mother will feel like, well, you know what, I don't want my child to feel like abandoned or feel like they're less of a human being. Let me tell them who their father is. And those things have implications. So that's why these discussions have to be had ahead of time. Before you go forward to have a child, what is your answer to the father question? You should anticipate that. So you need to develop a narrative of what you tell your child. And you need to discuss if the father is someone who is in society, but maybe he's married, like I said, then you need to have an agreement with him ahead of time, how you're going to handle that. Another thing you should anticipate is financial and career pressure. You'll be a bit limited because unlike somebody who has a partner, you can decide to go back and forth about availability. But when it's all on you, it means that all of your lifestyle, all of your finances, all of your career will be based on your availability to that child if you want to be a good parent. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. Now, financial planning is part of mental health. If you financially plan well, if you know you're going to have a nanny, where are you going to get the nanny? How much are you going to get the nanny? How old is the nanny going to be? Where you're going to live? That all helps. And be flexible. Since you've made the decision to take on this journey, be flexible with yourself. Forgive yourself for the things you haven't thought about. But I always tell women who make this decision, think it through. It is not easy. But nothing in life is easy. Being married and having children with a man is not a guarantee that you're not going to experience these things, like I said. But plan better. Plan better. Anticipate all of these things. Think about the child. What would it be for a child to even live in such a situation. So there are some psychological realities. You're laying a foundation for your strength and resilience, which you're going to have to need. You need a lot of family and societal support in terms of your own village, your own space, so your child can have a healthy childhood. Having said that, Susanna, I hope this was helpful, and I hope I was able to do this without making you feel guilty or without judgment. Please like, share, and subscribe to Dear IJay on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also catch us on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Remember, be healthy, be happy, and please, by all means, including you, Susanna, keep it positive. Until next time, that's it from me.